Oh my God.
So
What
we
a
have some.
surprise. Yay.
Hi, Ginny. We haven't
Yay.
spoken in like a million
I
years.
know. I'm like, what happened? You disappeared. And now you just magically appeared. Eating. What are you eating?
Mashed potatoes and meatloaf.
Yay. Awesome. Good old home cooking.
Oh, and a Coke. So,
Beautiful.
So me and Michael were talking about how fascinating it is that Addie is into the non-dual scene, so to say, at such a young age. She's only 18.
That
Um,
is pretty dope. Yeah.
yeah. And
How
we were
cool.
talking about how she's
yeah.
a tough egg to crack. We're trying to figure her out a little bit.
Oh, really?
I was just about to dive into all of my personal traumas. I had to pause.
Well, it's funny because in the part one that me and Jenny did, we had talked about how a lot of people who seem to go through trauma or pain or suffering seem to find themselves in non-duality.
Mm.
Would you say that that's true, Addie?
Well, I would say that like it's just like it's the end of the road, you know. You're like none of this other shit is working. And
Mm.
like there's something wrong about it all, something incorrect. And then you find yourself in non-duality somehow. That's how it is for me at least. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's like when you figure out that none of the other shit, all the other shit was like a hit of crack that didn't last long, you know? It's like oh my gosh. And there's something more to this. This is when you're like, okay, what's up? Something's off.
Mhm.
That's when non-duality shows up to finish you off.
What would you say on this, Michael?
I would say it's hard to be human, that I think that most humans exist under varying degrees of existential angst. The quiet desperation that Thoreau talked about. It's so hard to be human. And Ginny, I have wanted to talk with you for so long.
Me too, with you. I'm so excited. This is a
I am
surprise.
too. I am
Oh, I just want to give you a hug.
you, sweetheart. Yeah, I think it's a mutual thing. It's when you if you notice when you hug someone, you press your this area together.
I
It, it
know.
it's
Beautiful.
oh yeah.
That's cute. Oh, I feel like a lot of people aren't that present when I hug them, and I just want to like squeeze them and be like, "Hello,
Oh,
hello."
I know.
I like stop, and then they give me like a 2 second hug. I'm like, "You're just hugging to hug. Like, come
I
on."
know. I've
Yeah.
had those too. Yeah, like a
Um,
cold hug.
I
Men
know.
have a signal they give to each other. They pat each other on the back when they don't want to be hugged anymore. Women don't do that. It's the man pat. Okay,
That's
that's enough.
cute.
But I never.
I spoon my friends until we sleep. I like
Oh,
we spoon each other
sweet.
like lovers.
I
Sweet.
did too. I
I
like
feel
cuddle
bad for
piles.
men because like apparently they don't be doing that.
No, no, they don't be doing that.
I
I hug. Oh, I just hug the longest time. My son says, always be the last one to let go of a hug.
Oh, how sweet. I love long hugs too. Oh my God, it's
Oh.
like the most beautiful meditation. I love it.
When one of my granddaughters was young, 3 and 4 and 5, she'd put her arms around you and then she'd lift up her leg to pull you in too.
Oh, cute.
So cute. This little leg coming up to wrap her.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
cute.
I like the hugs that have a running start. Like you run and then jump on
Oh,
someone. Like that's the best.
oh,
Michael, me and Jenny had talked about love in the first part of this, and
ah,
I feel a lot of love right now. A
Yay,
lot of
me
love being
too.
passed around.
that's what love
Yay.
is. It's a homecoming dance. It's welcome home. I missed you. I love you.
It is.
It's sharing humanness. To me,
Hmm.
it's sharing the joy of humanness.
Hmm.
With all of the travails and heartache and heartbreak, there's this love that always returns. in my case. Um, and I grew up empty, hollow. I didn't care. I didn't care if I lived or died. I took crazy wild chances with my life. Um, all of my friends are dead, long gone.
Wow.
What's
Uh,
that like?
well, everything seems okay to me. I don't really miss them, the people I grew up with. They were wild and crazy like me, alcohol drenched Rocky Mountains. Um, I don't really remember too much. Uh, um, it was it was a hollow life. I met my wife when she was 15. I was in high school and I was a senior and I fell in love and I'm still in love.
Wow. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. We've been married 60 years
Oh, I
and
love those love stories. My sister has that too, where they're just still madly in love since high school.
Is
love.
that the Barbie one you told me about? The one that's like
Yeah,
Barbie?
she has a perfect life and yeah, which is it wasn't making fun of her. It's like saying, I mean, she's gorgeous and her life
Mm.
is just pristine, it seems. Yeah.
This peace that passes understanding. I was just talking to a group that it seems to me that heaven is just a little on the other side of hell. I think life has to drag us around and beat us up. And I love people who, with tear tracks in their faces and blood-stained shirts,
Oh, cool.
vomit in their hair.
I love that too. I love it when someone looks weathered and has been through some shit, you know?
Yeah, me too. Um,
Like the
warriors,
tough hands.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
tough hands, yeah.
warriors who have been to war and survived. Lost.
Addie, Addie,
Mm.
what's your story? What brought you to non-duality? Did you go through a lot of that trauma or that pain that we were talking about?
Um, well, my life is certainly short so far. I haven't lived very long, but yeah, I mean, yeah, right? Yeah. Um,
So what's your story? What brought you to
so
non-duality?
what brought me to non-duality? Maybe my dad, he was really into spirituality and stuff and like things like that. And then so there was like sort of that in like sort of deep, dark, deep interest that was kind of kindled by him. And then I found my brother spiritual as hell and we connected a lot on that and like I like there's like something that just felt so attracted to it. And then I found this one other kid who was like fucking 30 something years old. And finally I was like, oh, a spiritual person. And so like I like it was kind of a toxic relationship for real. And like yeah, I got really into his friend group and went into like really unhealthy dieting of like eating just fruits and
Hmm.
nothing else. My family got really worried for me and was like, what is she doing? But I was like, I'm finding God. I need to find God. And it was like fruits was the way I was going to do that. So like it was just sort of obvious that this deep hunger was here. You're like, what is this deep hunger that's like constantly trying to be filled? It's just so obvious. Like it's all I'm ever doing. And then eventually non-duality somehow fell onto my plate and I was like, oh, there's just something so uh just makes sense. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, it does make sense.
We were talking in the last group I was in about what is this shift in the way the world is perceived? Is it and what are its causes? And of course, there can be no cause within an infinite chain of interrelationship. Everything is the cause and effect of everything else, and we can't isolate the cause of any event because an infinite number of things surrounded that. And well, there's no separate events. And this is the part, I think, one of the parts that's so difficult to talk about. There could be no cause and effect when everything is an integral part of everything.
Yeah, and it's singular, so it wouldn't have it wouldn't be a cause and effect.
I
It's
think Alan
amazing.
Watts said that like if there was like a certain fly or something wasn't on this earth, everything would be different. I don't know if that's true though.
I think it's a hint at the interrelationships. And we can't see that with the objectified perspective. We have to see things as separate objects, as named, separated things. And of course, there's no separated things except in our perception of them. And we can't see beyond the separation, no matter how hard we try, because we are not the origin of the perspective. I see the brain as creating an imaginary sense of self through which it experiences the world and then tries to see the world as one whole thing when it's looking through a lens of objectification. And it's just a struggle. It's impossible to attain. It all comes back home after this shift in perspective when we see the limitations of our perspective of the brain sees its own limitations and embraces those. I see as the most precious gift in the universe. To be human is so rare in the universe, to be aware that we're aware, to see beauty and love, experience love. I don't think any other animal experiences love, and people say, "Oh, my dog does, my cat does," but we have to feel separate from a person to be in love with them. And that separation is the cause of the existential angst that we struggle against. And I'm rambling on again. I want to hear Ginny. I've listened to a few of your when you talk, and it feels like in Wyoming there's a little mountain spring that came down that we thought was our secret. We'd ride our horses up to it, and it came out of the mountain and trickled down into the sagebrush flats. But about 3 miles, you follow this little strand. That's what your voice sounds like to me, is this little
Oh
trick.
my God. That's
Uh,
beautiful. What a compliment.
oh, it was so beautiful, Jenny, that
Oh,
there were dragonflies and water boatmen and little waterfalls and oh God, aspen trees. And, oh,
oh
it's
my gosh. In Colorado?
at Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Oh, wow. I lived
And
in Colorado for a long time.
oh, oh, it's
Yeah.
yeah, Rocky Mountains are
Oh, I know. Nothing like it. Oh my God. It's so
uh,
beautiful.
yeah, winter and spring. But that's what you. As soon as I saw you, I thought, oh, I want to talk with her. I want to be.
Oh, me too. I felt the same about you.
Uh,
Yeah. You're
uh,
so eloquent, poetic with your
ah,
beautiful way of conveying this.
so sweet for you to say that.
Yeah. I feel like the unlovedness is allowing the unknown to be unknown.
Oh,
And it's that curiosity and that anticipation of the unknown that gives like it's just exciting. Um, like when you're in love with a new lover, you don't know them. So there's like this, you're turned on by that. It's like sexy. The unknown is mysterious. And that's what this is. It's just like erotically making love with itself, being unknown. It's just like, it's amazing by being everything.
That unknownness is with everything. The eroticism of the unknown, um, the stimulation of falling into a vast unknown unknowableness, the excitement of jumping off a cliff. Cliff jumpers do,
Hmm.
do that to get this feeling. It makes them feel alive. It makes them
Yeah.
rock climb. The guy who climbs El Capitan with no ropes, that is what makes him feel alive. But I think it's
Totally.
possible to live in that mind all the time. Falling.
Hmm. Yeah. The Tao Te Ching says the Wu Wei. That's the Wu Wei in the
Yeah,
flow. And
yeah.
that's when there's no resistance. It's just allowed to be what it is. It's just, and
Um,
then and then that is the love, the in loveness.
I felt that when Amor said that you were going to be here. And then also when Addie was going to be here, the love, the excitement,
Yay. Yeah. It's so
everything,
fun.
everything is that.
It is. And it's so curious too, so mysterious and just wants to explore itself, just wants to
Oh,
express itself.
yes, it's exploring itself.
Hmm.
Wow, that's a new thought for me. I think we are a closed loop of self-referential memories within the objectifying human brain. And this brain seems to enjoy exploring its objectified universe. I we don't leave the house that much. We're old and retired and but when we go, I feel like a 5-year-old going on a trip, excited and because I don't know who I'm going to see or meet. And most often it's for doctors' office. But still in the office, I'll sit and look at people and interface with them and say whatever comes up. I've told the story several times. A couple of doctors' visits ago, there was a lady, and we were getting ready to leave, and she was an elderly lady with a cane, and we were standing in front of the door, and she said, "Excuse me, can I get by?" And I turned around and faced her, and I don't know where this stuff comes from. I said, "No, I'm not going to let you by me. I'm not going to do." So she looked at me, and she stood back, and she grabbed her cane like she was going to hit me.
Ah,
So, but we knew we were playing.
cute.
I told the receptionist, I said, "Hon, get your camera. There's gonna be a fight."
That's hilarious.
Oh God, we had the fun. And then you open a window opens in both people and you start playing. And we had the nicest time just for a minute or two. And as I was leaving, I looked back and I said, "I really like you." She said, "Oh, I like you too." And she became part of me. I was
Oh,
talking about her because she's still in me. And right,
beautiful.
all three of you have
Hmm.
I've known more longer. And you, youngster, you amaze me. When you were going to, Amor said you were coming. I said that excitement.
Hmm.
And I told him, I said, "Oh, she's a hard egg to crack. I want to know more about her. She intrigues me. And so do you, Jenny.
Oh, you do too. All of it. It's just so amazing
Exciting.
to be one God talking to itself. It's so beautiful and appear unique, appear to have unique qualities and probability distribution.
Infinite galaxies, memories,
Yeah.
whirling, coming together, seeing each other, basking in each other's glow. Um, to me, that is joy. is the joy of being, knowing nothing. I don't know anything, and I know that no one else knows more than me about this stuff. No one
Mhm.
knows more than anyone.
Yeah.
Condition, because we don't have one.
Addie, when Ginny says one God talking to itself, what would you say on that, Addie?
Um, I feel like it's it's like logical, but it's like I don't see it yet. It's like it's logical though. It makes sense that that's how it would be. It's like, why would there be something other than this?
Hmm.
So, like, why would there be something separate calling you and then two yous separate from each other talking to each other? It makes more sense that everything's just this one thing talking to itself. But yeah.
We're trying to use words to unravel a problem that exists only in words. The Circuit calls it washing blood with blood.
I like that.
I do too. Uh, we're
It's
not going
like
to get
Alan Watts saying it's like trying to bite your own teeth.
Hmm. Or the eye trying to look at itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
I wrote somewhere if you could take this eye out and turn it around to look into the other eye, what would it see?
Whoa. Ew.
I'm going to ask my eye doctor who I love.
Yeah. Ask him that. See what
Yeah.
he says. That's hilarious.
You're gonna send him through a loop.
I know. Then he'll start on to non-duality.
Yeah, it just takes a little switch to turn on.
Give
Yeah.
the eye doctor a whole new perspective on the eyes.
Oh God, he's brilliant. He's so brilliant. I told him I loved him one time. He said, "Oh, Michael, I'm going to take so good care of you." I said, "Oh, you always have, doctor." I appreciate the study they went through. It was hard to become a doctor, and well, it's hard to be anybody. I just admire humans so much. Um, I do. I adore them. And somehow that light washes back on me. It's mirrors for each other. I get to see a glimpse of my own beauty through you. Um, I get to see how beautiful it is to be human through you, how lovely. I get to experience a little bit of what it's like to be a woman. I'm a man. I've always
Hmm.
been a man, and men are different than women. It's a different world for us and you. That's the magnetism. Oh, look at that dog.
Hmm.
He wants some attention. Or she. Look at you.
Yeah. Through
Look.
the mirror of duality, you can see yourself as singularity. It's so beautiful. And you can't see yourself unless there's other or something else
Yeah.
to compare to, you know, the illusion of opposites. It's so cool. And speaking of the eyes, you don't see, the seeing is not from behind the eyes. Um,
Mm.
Consciousness is fundamental, which OBEs and NDEs, explain that too, how you, the seeing is not just behind the eyes. It's seeing is being.
Have you ever played with OBEs?
I'm, I'm actually like, studying that right now just for fun because I like geeking out on all that kind of stuff. What about you?
For 10 years. One time
Wow.
my brother called me and said, I get out of my body at night and I can't get back in. And I thought he maybe gone a little crazy. And many years ago, long before the internet. And there was almost no information available. I finally found like three books on it, three obscure books on out-of-body experiences. And I Sylvan Muldoon was one, and the other one was some institute, Monroe Institute.
Yeah, Bob Monroe. Yeah.
Yeah. And he has several methods to practice to get out. And I tried it for like 3 or 4 months, one of which is you picture your body 12 inches outside your nose as you're going to sleep or laying in bed. And I did that and did it and did it. And nothing happened. And one night I had quit drinking and I was laying on the floor and I thought, did I fall out of bed? And I started to get up and my hand went right through the floor. And I thought, oh my God, I'm out. Of course, fear takes over and you snap right back. But over the next 10 years, I went out literally hundreds of times, or thought I did. And it's so real, you can't believe it. It
Yeah.
is unbelievably real. It's more real.
Michael, tell us about the most profound experience you had out of your body.
Oh God. Oh my God. I would fly over cities that weren't on this earth. You can fly. You can do anything you want. It's a wide open world. Anything you can conceive of, you can do. And I did. But I would fly over cities that were all the buildings had domes on them, intricate streets like medieval Europe, winding, but they were beautiful. And I'd see people and things that I never had seen before. And I would I would shoot out to space as far as I could go. And I would get cold at a certain point and come back. I would travel through a forest, but long before I saw the movie, one of the Star Wars movie where they're shooting through the forest. And I would do that. And sometimes, one time I wondered what would happen if I hit a tree. So I slammed into a tree and it hurt and I fell down and I thought, man, that was but some of my adventures I couldn't share because they're too intimate.
You know,
You
I
can do
watched
anything.
I watched this I used to watch this show when I was younger. It was called I Survived Beyond and Back. And I remember this one kid, he was in school. He was a young kid, probably younger than Addie, and he had a heart attack sitting in class. And he fell to the ground and then he saw himself laying there. And then
Mm.
he walked down the hallway. He said, "Oh, this poor kid." Then he walked down the hallway and he saw these stairs. And at the top of the stairs was his grandmother
Hmm.
and his dead grandmother. And his dead grandmother told him that it wasn't his time yet. And then
Yeah. Sounds like
he
an NDE.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he watched the paramedics work on his body, and then he ended up shooting back into the body. It was a
Hmm.
real interesting story. I don't know how I feel about it, but it was interesting to hear.
Well, after years, there's a German scientist, Thomas Metzinger, who had an out-of-body experience. He was well established in the and well known in the scientific community. And he started studying really as intensely. And he has a book called The Ego Tunnel, in which he explains them, I believe, scientifically. And I don't believe you leave your body. I think the brain is so creative. It is it's just the most amazing thing in the universe. I think that NDEs and OOBs, uh, that's near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences, are a creation of the incredibly complex brain. So far, say people say, "Oh, this is so real." Um, I leave my body and I see things and I come back, and I've done that too. But it's subjective things to verify the fact that I was truly out. But not one person has able ever to leave their body, go into the next room, and get four numbers and bring them back. They haven't been able to do that. And I don't believe they ever will. I think the explanation is far beyond the brain's ability to even contemplate with the objectified perspective. That the human brain is so creative and so, oh God, I don't think,
So what you're saying is that nobody's ever been able to go to the next room,
No,
read four numbers off of a board, and then come back and say what those four numbers were.
no, no, they haven't. And no matter people who I think are relatively new to near-death experiences, and it's supposedly 20 to 30% of the people have had one in their life, and they don't share it because it's so odd and out of their normal frame of reference. But it's so real that you can't believe it. Uh, Everything is kind of a sepia, kind of a it's the intense colors aren't there. But what you see covers the spectrum of anything the mind can conceive of, and even beyond that. I got out of the bed one night when we were in the mountains in Big Bear, California. It's a ski resort. And I was out of bed, and there were little monsters crawling on the bed. Because you see everything over there. You can see monsters. You can see terrible things. They have great big heads. They weren't very big, maybe 25 inches tall or so. Great big heads, little arms, and they were and they were several of them were calling towards my wife. And my first response was try to save her. But they so scared me, I just backed up against the wall. And I was terrified. And so I didn't go out for the long time after that. And even now I get chills thinking about it. But it's all in this brain. Everything we experience is inside the brain.
I would say it's all consciousness, and the brain is in consciousness. So you don't
I
even know if you have a brain.
I know a lot of
It's
people.
Yeah, like the consciousness is dreaming the body. So that's why consciousness is not inside the body, so that you can fly over the cities or do whatever, because it's infinite potential arising is flying over the city and bodies. And
Yeah, a lot of people lean in that direction, and that's the way that they see what's. I don't personally. I don't. I see everything is happening within the brain, and that consciousness is just a label given to this rough brain chatter. But there's no such thing as consciousness. My favorite teacher was Jan Cox, one of them, and he said if you can't put it on the table, it's not real.
hmm
That that
yeah,
consciousness.
what is it without a thought?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a different area. Let's see.
Well, just so you guys know, we're down to 2 minutes.
Damn it.
Okay.
I wanted Ginny to just real quick on when Michael says that everything comes from the brain, what would you say on that?
I say it's all one consciousness, one God's mind. And God's mind is dreaming the bodies. So the body has nothing to do with it. The brain doesn't compute information. And from how I feel about this. And it's infinite potential. So it can be anything. And it's not inside the body. There's no inside and outside, but you could say the body is inside consciousness.
Do we
So it's
live
all
after we die?
consonant. Oh, I'm
Hmm?
sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
Do we live after we die?
Yeah, you're eternal. You're
Hmm.
just um you're beyond all of it. Like you're just it's like God wearing a VR headset and thinking it's the avatar, and then falling for the game of life. And then waking up is like realizing, oh my God, this is just a VR headset. This is not even happening. I'm not the character. I'm not the body. I'm so fucking infinite that I can't even be explained or expressed. And
Hmm.
yeah, it goes on eternally.
Well,
You can never die.
I'm sorry to cut this off short, but we're down to about 30 seconds. So I just wanted to
That
say thank you all for joining.
was so fun. Mwah! Love you guys. Big hugs, group hug. Thank you
Good
Love
guys
you
so
night.
guys.
much. That was awesome. So good to hang
You
with you
too.
guys.
Oh.